Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Nice to see you. I hope you had a beautiful weekend and week here. The PNW is being very, very rainy. My window in the back is a little bit misleading because it looks very bright and it's high clouds, so it's not gloomy, but it's definitely not as bright as it look in the video. And it's been pouring. It's been just incessantly not stop, incessantly raining, and warmer though, so that makes it a lot easier. We can still manage to be brave and decide to do what gardening we can do in the rain since it's not that cold. So I still got a little trimming done that needs to be done, and nothing though, no pulling or weeds because it's so muddy. But today I wanted to encourage you to be brave, to move towards your dream by being brave and taking steps. And so I decided that in order to do that, that we would have a little recipe together because it's fun. The end product is that you get to eat it. And also because a lot of my friends tend to not be cooks. And so they always, through life, particularly when we were younger, they would always say, like, you have to teach me how to cook because I otherwise I always go out and buy fast food. And I do understand how overwhelming that can be, though, especially if you are not born in a family that loves cooking, loves eating, and loves talking about food, which is, pretty much like what we were as a family when I was growing up, and Italian in general um, love cooking and food and talking about it. My son turned out it became quite a chef, and now I enjoy eating his food that is delicious and different style from mine. So it's very much of a treat for me. So anyway, I thought that in order to inspire you, I will pick this recipe that is very simple, but that is kind of interesting and nice. When you serve it, it's a little bit different. So it will be fun to do it, and I think it won't present too many difficulty. And the brave part comes in the fact that this is just a basic thing, and it's a base for something that you can completely change. Um, I wouldn't advise to change the meat, but we'll talk about it as we go through the recipe. But you can change the spices and you can change the some of the ingredients based on what you have in the house. So let's start. Hello, hello, here we are again. I first put the whole recipe in a PowerPoint, and then I will show you a little bit action movies of, how we do the steps are a little bit harder because the beginning is not terribly difficult. So this is a very good uh, thought of Walt Disney. The way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. And that's pretty much with everything, but especially if you want to have your dinner. So we started with ingredient. This is what I chose, but you can put anything, obviously, and also you can reduce what is here if you want to make it a little bit smaller, or add more if you want to make it much bigger. There is a limit of to how big you maybe can do it because you'll see that you have to make a roll at the end when everything came together. So you have all your ingredients here. These are the spices that I have used, but you of course can substitute. For example, if you don't even know what a nutmeg is, or you don't really like the nutmeg, don't put the nutmeg. You can put something else, or you don't put anything like that. You leave the nutmeg out, and I would put paprika. I like paprika, so if you like paprika, you could do that. You could put a little bit of cayenne, something spicy, depends on your taste. Same with garam masala. Is a I love that spice, but if you don't like it, you can add something else that is you're more familiar with, right? So every one of these spices are things that I really like, and they match together and they do well together. So I add that to my recipe. Um, you know, garam masala we don't use in Italy, but it's an Indian spice mostly. But definitely pepper, nutmeg, and sage are Italian spice. We don't use a lot of sophisticated or exotic spices in Italy, but when I came here, I was exposed to a lot more different cuisine because I was born a long time ago when in Italy food was only Italian food. They were in restaurants from other countries. So here I experience a lot of different food and spices are very interested. I love everything about it, the color, the smell, and the taste. So I use a lot more spices that I would ordinarily use for a true Italian recipe. So here we buy the chard, which I think I didn't put it in the ingredients maybe, but so you buy these big leaves of collard greens, actually, I'm sorry. And as you can see, I've chopped the stalk, the very hard stalk. I chopped it and then cleaned them well and you put them in a bowl that you can cover for later on. Then you boil good amount of water because you're going to pour it all on that bowl with those leaves and push them down with a spoon and you can leave them for about they're pretty strong, so no, it's not like spinach that in a second will be gone to nothing. They maintain their turgidity, and so you can leave it there for about 5 minutes, 3 to 6 minutes, as I say. Sometime, if they're bigger, you can even cover it a little bit for 10 minutes. But anyway, they don't usually get mushy, so you can probably, and this amount is for two. I bought 2 bunches of this collard green, but I end up using one. But I buy two sometimes because they're not always nice and big, and so I can, if I buy 2 bunches, I can find the needed amount of leaves. Generally 8 that are nice and big, and then the rest I can chop and cook later for something else. And now we prepare the ingredient. You wash everything, and what I do, since it's not a stir fried or something that has to look really pretty, but you're gonna see, I just clean everything and chop them in not huge pieces, but just chop it in pieces of different sizes, and then I put them in the food processor where they all become all at once, and they become. I don't want to chop this so fine that it's a mash, but at least they're all about the same size. The mixer small enough that you can mix them later. So we'll mix. Here we have 1 pound of meat. You put in a nice bowl because then you're gonna pour. That was actually too much. What you see in the picture was actually too much for the 1 pound of meat. So after I cook it and stir fry the sauteed the veggie, I just use half of it and put it in the meat. I put 2 eggs, and my advice with the eggs, I don't know if you ever experienced that though, is that I break them in a cup or in a little bowl before I put them anywhere because one day I bought eggs at the stores fresh, and one of that I guess wasn't that fresh. Since I don't float them before I use them, I when I went to break it, it exploded in my food. So now I learned a lesson. So I do it first with the in a bowl, then I put it there. So I add the eggs, I add the sauteed veggie that been spiced. No, they haven't been spiced yet. We just salted, and I added with the meat, with the eggs, with the spices, and now I'm mixing everything very well. Now I like to do it with my hands because the meat is very compact. So by doing it with your hand, you can really amalgamate everything very smoothly, so that you have a very well homogeneous bunch of meat with spices and veggie. You can use a spoon if you're good with that and you're stronger. You can do that. I like to do it with my hands, and that's why I keep my nails really short. And people think I'm biting my nails, but actually I do that because I like to cook, and I also like to do clay. And long nails are very inconvenient for those two activities. Sorry. So Now we're making a flower with those leaves. So now we're going to put these beautiful leaves and we're going to make a flower on this big plate. We're going to overlap them a little bit, and I try to, pick them up where I want to put the bigger and stronger one on the outside, because then I have to fold it. So I picked the one that seemed to be, that will then keep everything inside, otherwise as I roll it, the mix will come off. So, as you see, I put like this, like this, like this, like this, and then now I'm gonna cover those angle, right? 4 and 4. So now I'm gonna put one here, and another one here, and this varies the size. I always try to pick one that has pretty nice big leaves, right? Because I like to make this loaf that lasts me a couple of days or more. So depending on his years, my sons are here, it's probably not gonna last. But if I'm alone, it definitely will last me at least 4 days, at least. So that should be enough. I have a nice big bed of leaves. And now I pour my content here in it, and I flatten it a little bit, like if you were to make a big burger, I guess. Again, you want to make sure that it's fairly even. You don't have a super thick side and a super fine side, although it's not crucial, but it makes it a little easier. So now I wrap it a little bit like you would do with a tortilla, right? Now it's flat, and I start wrapping. If you see it well. So I fold all the leaves over, and I roll it like it would be a sushi roll, really. That's what it looks like. It's gonna be a sushi roll. And now really I have a roll that is completely tapped in. So I told you at the beginning, turn on the oven right away before you start to film all this. Turn on the oven at 350. You can do it now if you're not in a hurry. Obviously, it's not like anything's gonna happen to the roll. It's just fine. So you put it in the oven at 350 degrees. In a terrine of some kind. The pizza, I've used like a lasagna pan and a little olive oil, and you put it in there, and you cook it for about 15 minutes, and then you pour on top of everything the sauce. And the sauce, as I say here, you can make it with a quarter cup of soy sauce, and then the juice of 1 lemon, and about a quarter cup of water. If you don't have a lemon, you can use an orange, the juice of 1 orange, and a quarter cup of soy sauce. If you don't have an orange, you could use a quarter cup of apple juice and maybe a spoon of, excuse me, of vinegar if you don't have any citrus, and still your cup of soy sauce. Anyway, make a sauce, and make a sauce however you want it, really. I mean, that's the sauce I use, but you can make any sauce. I'm sure you would probably put some hot spice, because I know here, especially guys, at least all the one I know, love their hot sauce. So I'm sure you would put, which I used to have all these arguments be like, at least try it without the hot sauce, so you know what it tastes like. Then you maybe it doesn't fit at all, because sometimes it really doesn't fit. But they like their hot sauce, so put your hot sauce on it. Make your sauce. You pour it all over on top of your roll, and then you lower the heat and you let it cook for about 25 minutes. If you have a terrine that has a lid, I will cover it at this point, and maybe the last 5 minutes you take the lid out so that it can get a little crunchy on top. And then it comes out and it's delicious. If you can see, it gets a little curly inside, and it tastes very nice. It is pretty to look at. It's easy to cut, and people are really impressed. And yet, it's a very simple recipe, and so you can really impress your loved ones or whoever you're invited for dinner that evening. Or just yourself. Cook it for yourself and then you have it for a couple of days. And every time that you're sitting down, honor your food, honor your brave thinking, honor that you did this recipe and you change all the things and you listen to your inspiration that told you what should you try, what kind of spice could go okay on this. You weren't scared and you're eating something nutritious. Very great way to have vegetables. You can also do a vegetarian. I didn't go that way because it's a little bit more complicated. It probably be okay with rice. I usually do it with millet, and everything responds differently, and is definitely not cuttable until it's cold when you do it with the millet at least. But maybe rice will be a little bit, stay together better. But anyway, so you can do this recipe vegetarian, whatever grain you want to use, certainly with beans and stuff like that. So enjoy it and think think bravely, and every day ask yourself, what step can I take to move closer to my dream? See you soon to your dreams.